Okay, guys, this is the last stream concerning well, I guess it's not the last stream of anything, but I guess this is just a year in review for 2018. It was a very difficult year for me personally because the first 2 months I was pretty much trying to salvage the job that I had at the time. It wasn't going very well. And in general, January of every year is right after the holidays. In fact, today is the last day of my vacation, which didn't go very well because my car is pretty much in the shitter. The tranny went bad. Transmission, sorry, I guess you can't say that anymore, even when you're talking about cars. So last year was an even worse winter just because it looked like my professional life wasn't really going very well, and I was trying very hard to hold on to the job that I did have, but unfortunately, that never happened, and in the end, I pretty much I was let go in February, and for the following 4 months, I was looking for work very hard. I was probably applying to 20 places a week, and I had a number of good interviews, but none of them panned out until somewhere around late May when I did get a new contract job, which I'm still on. And in a certain sense, I'm in a better position this year professionally because it's still a contract job. So whenever it ends, it's not as if I'm going to have to. Um, it's not like I'm going to have to explain why I'm not working there. Now it doesn't mean I can loaf, and I do put in a lot extra hours at work. But the fact is that a contract job isn't meant to be permanent. This one would probably end as of right now in July, although I could possibly see it ending earlier because the project I'm involved in simply is nearing an end and they don't really need to keep me for the next project. So that's that was like really the biggest challenge for me last year. Uh, when I got let go, I did a video about it and released it, I think, in August. I did the video, I think, in June and released it in August because, you start to lose confidence in your own professional skills. And unfortunately, I don't know if I'll ever be satisfied just having a regular uh, job the way most people are. When I go to my job, I see a lot of people. They have very to put it simply, they have suburban tastes. They want to go bowling, they want to go fishing, they want to go. Some of them want to go to the shooting range, which is also cool. None of them have the same hobbies as I do, and I don't intend really to get into any discussions with them about any of the writing and commentary that I do, except possibly stuff that has to do with sports or music. Things that are controversial in the public sphere, you definitely don't want to bring into the work sphere. And in fact, I did a video on that last week concerning Jamel Hill. So, I'll put this up, by the way, so you guys can soak it in. But the same links are in the description, so you can see them. These are all the writing pages where I put my stuff up. I should probably put the Steemit, even though I don't write on Steemit that much anymore, just because it's a little time consuming. So yeah, professionally, I'm trying to build back to a position of more financial security through my job because I don't anticipate having it permanently. There is the option of getting a direct hire position where I work, but it's not exactly um, an open and shut case. And I've also been looking for other jobs at the moment. Not that I have any problem with where I'm working, and it's actually some very good experience. And I'm probably going to look if I'm looking in the near future, it's probably going to be in the same industry, which is medical devices. And I've also worked in the past in medical device industry. And if you're out there, if you're a career oriented person who's in college or possibly looking to switch careers, I couldn't recommend a better industry with better people. Of course, there's bad apples everywhere. Um, as far as how that affected the work on the channel and on the writing. Well, for 4 months, I pretty much had a lot of time, especially in the afternoons, to kind of investigate and look things up. And that's when my most important story of, since I've begun writing anything, the Mattis file came about, which is on the Hard News Network, which you can see here. That's when I discovered that. And it's still a huge disappointment for me that I haven't been able to get anyone from a media company to feature the story, apart from the Hard News Network people and some other alternative news sources. So I've never gotten anyone from a real, widespread media like the Daily Caller, and I've contacted a lot of them. Daily Caller, American Spectator. I've contacted people on the left, such as the Jimmy Dore Show. I think I contacted once, and Lauren Steiner. So they were basically, we have a case where people simply aren't willing to accept that or they're not willing to look into it, to the fact that major media companies have been using a hoax journalist in order to substantiate their libelous claims against Bernie Sanders supporters and their connections to Russia and Albania, apparently. So that to me, that was a huge disappointment. That, I mean, I'm thrilled that I got to meet the people and talk to them, the ones that were actually affected by the story. But the end goal was to expose the people who let it continue to be an issue. And I don't see any reason why coming through next time in 2020, there's there's another election around the bend. And nobody's held John Mattis to account except for this channel and the Hard News Network and Halsey News and Jamarl Thomas and Nico House. So that's not a good sign for America. That's not a good sign for the media, because I'm talking about even alternative media never really came to terms with that. 2 dislikes. Well, what do you want? Get a haircut. Some people don't like the transmission joke. I was the one like. I think Ryu is just doing that with two of his accounts, and he's trying to get an acknowledgement. Happy Bagel New Year, Ryu, if that makes you feel better. So, other personal reflections. So once I got the new job, I treated it pretty much like Sherman's March to the Sea. That's why that's the only reason that there's that graphic that's the thumbnail of Sherman's March to the Sea, because every time, once you lose a job, you're always paranoid as to when you're going to get your next paycheck. So once I got the next job, I was just fighting month after month to keep going and because it's a long drive to where I work. It's an hour. It's 45 minutes each way. So it's an hour and a half on the road every day. Sometimes through bad roads because there's a lot of construction up there. So it was not easy, but the people there made it worth it. The work makes it worth it. Knowing that you're working on a project that could help people makes it worth it. You have to kind of keep a perspective that there's your needs and then there's the needs of the people who are going to use the product. And you get to learn a lot. So that's really why, that's what kept me going during there were some very difficult moments. And, I think that there's a few more ahead if the next year is going to go the same way as the previous year. That's why I'm looking for other places to work. But, I was hoping to get to the end of the year because there were people who had been hired there that weren't appropriate for the position. One of them, I was thinking about doing a video on this. So there was a guy who was probably about in his, approaching his 60s maybe, who was an electrical engineer, kind of, very much over the hill, but a nice guy. Let's call him Ted. and he was trying very hard to work on updating the product for certain regulations, which I'm not going to go into. Certain regulations that aren't even U.S. specific; they're from overseas. And unfortunately, his aggressive pursuit of this, he started to in pursuit of that, he was starting to email people from higher up in the company and demand their help, which isn't really what you do. A lot of people who are higher ups, they're not looking to give solutions; they're looking for solutions. They're not trying to solve problems for you; they're looking for you to solve problems for them. So eventually, he ran afoul of everyone else, and they essentially decided at a certain point, well, we don't need. I mean, what's the upside of having this person around? And he wrote an angry letter when I guess they let him know that they're canceling his contract. And he said, "Oh, I'm never going to work at this company again," and telling like even an anecdote from the past when he interviewed at the company. So there were people who are in the same position as me, who have been in the industry longer, that pretty much lost their fucking minds. So I was able to keep it going, and the March of the Sea means that I was trying to get it going to this year, which as of right now, I'm still working there, and I hope to keep working there for the next few months, and possibly work on another project. But what were the goals going into this? It was to complete 6 months, to get back to a little more financial security. You see, when I got let go of the other job last year, I just finished purchasing a house, getting a mortgage, putting in new windows, which is pretty expensive, and I'm still making payments on all of those. The windows, I think I still have a few months left on, and my car is still a piece of crap. So every once in a while, I have to have, for example, in the summer, I had to have the entire suspension upgraded. I had to have 2 struts replaced. It was a disaster of a year in terms of finances, but I'm part of the way there, and as long as you can keep, first of all, finishing a contract is better than ending a contract before finishing it. That's for sure. But also getting into a new year and showing that you're able to consistently perform, that's a big deal too, and that was pretty important. As far as what's going to be going on with my activity going forward, I don't know if there's necessarily going to be more videos or less videos. I think that we're entering a period when a lot of the past 2 years is gonna, a lot of that is gonna slow down. Okay, I'm not gonna say that we're gonna see an improvement in terms of national mood, but for the past 2 years, the 24/7 news cycle has been absolutely, adrenalized. It's been ridiculous. And if you start to see people stop paying attention to that, I think some of these news companies are going to stop putting as much effort into it, because they'll be wasting man hours. They have to have people writing these stories until they can get AI to write these stories, which eventually they might, which would also kind of be a waste of time, but would cost less. They're gonna continue. They're gonna have to start taking stock of whether it's worth it to put out as much garbage as they used to. So, I'm going to continue monitoring a number of stories that are important to me. First of all, the changing political situation in South America. I'm going to start focusing a little more on that again. Looking through media hoaxes. The Mattis file, I think, could happen again. I don't even think, there are other people that were involved in similar situations that I didn't even find. So I'm going to keep looking for things like that. I'm going to keep doing fact checking. Probably going to follow a little more on the healthcare issues. Obamacare was originally one of the main topics on this channel, and Obamacare hasn't been solved. And I think a lot of us, for example, I don't even have health insurance, and I think it's good that there's no individual mandate. But a lot of Americans want to get into a situation where they can comfortably afford health insurance for themselves and their families. So I think that's an important topic. And of course, there's other ones that are big. There I comment on sports every once in a while. I do, some movie reviews, some book reviews. There's a couple book reviews that you can anticipate that you might find pretty interesting. Not going to do any spoilers yet. So let me look at the chat, see if there's anyone with any big comments. Rapper 10,000, have you heard about sitting, lying, Warren running for president? Yes, I did a video on that yesterday. So thanks. You can check that one out. I do noise cancel the news is now what I call most of my ones where I kind of dissect current events. So that's the latest noise cancel the news video. So you can read that. You can watch that right after this. Why the F would I dislike the stream? I haven't liked or disliked it. Yeah, but Ryan, you have more than one account. So what is this obsession with bagels? I like bagel, but damn, brah. I don't know, man. You got me infected. I saw that Trump said she would have to ask her psychologist. Gotta do your automobile work, bro. It's a huge money saver and boosts testosterone. Well, I'll tell you what. I've thought if I ever go through it, let's say my contract expires and I don't have a job yet, I might just go back to school and learn learn a trade. I don't know if it would be automotive though, because I do have back issues sometimes. Not all the time. I still can lift, but I can't do squats, for example. And I know a lot of people who were mechanics who ended up having horrible back issues and joint pain. So I would do it as a job if I had kind of if I was of the right health. But I've done things like that. I've serviced chillers as a job, so I wouldn't rule that out. Dude, when you get a solid job arrangement, get into passive income. It helps with cash flow and makes it a cushion just in case you get job problems again. Passive income, I'm assuming he means things like investments and crypto. Yeah, that's a good piece of advice I should have taken back in back in February. And yeah, you're right. Cheers to health. Thank you. I deleted those other accounts, dude. You shouldn't. You should keep whatever accounts you have. You never know when people are going to ban you. I know you know what? One last note. I think there's not much left to talk about for this topic because I am going to move on to other streams. By the way, so yeah, well, I'll just talk about that at the end. But and one thing I wanted to mention, speaking of what Ryu said, is that I know people who still complain about getting zucked from Facebook. It's like, why even bother? If you get banned from Facebook, which, I stay on Facebook, unfortunately, because there's a lot of people who are too stubborn to make the move to other platforms. A, because they have too many friends that they still know from Facebook. And B, because they simply forgot that there's more social media than just Facebook and Twitter. So Minds.com, which you see to the right, I think I should start using more often, but I've been using Gab a lot. I used Reddit for a long time until I got banned from the Donald Reddit subreddit because for some reason I think it was because I shared a video where I called for supporting Alicia Clegg's channel after she got banned. So by the way, condolences to Alicia. She did lose her sister, and she has a video on her channel. In fact, I'll link to her channel right now, just so I can, make that known. I think Alicia Clegg's channel is one of the better ones. Let me see here. So, So yeah, I'll link to the video for it because it's sad. She's one of the nicer people that I know on YouTube. She's very very thorough in her research. So yeah, I did watch that video, and it's unfortunate I lost my mom. But yeah, what we were talking about was the loss of an account on social media, which is obviously much less of an issue than what she's going through. You should probably diversify where you are on these platforms. And some of these platforms like Minds and Gab, there's an advantage if you think it's an advantage that you stay a little more anonymous and you get to network with people in a different way. Now, Facebook, what was the advantage of Facebook originally? It was so you can network with people that you knew from real life who had moved away or who you lost touch with, and that was a good thing for the time. But it evolved into something much worse, much worse. And unfortunately, I think Facebook has completely lost its way, and it might have even been just some sinister, agent of social control, as we've seen in these Senate hearings and House hearings. That they just have zero respect for the users. They look at the users basically as plants that they suck the nutrients out of. So on that note, we're gonna have a stream tonight. Ad hominem Thunderdome. We're gonna have Arjun moderating, and also Just My Stupid Opinion as well moderating. There's going to be three guests so far besides me. I'm going to be going up against three people. One of them is Gina from Texas, who's she's kind of a black conservative. Not necessarily everybody's going to go against everybody. I'm just naming who's going to be on it. So she's going to be on there. Alex, you've seen him. He's not going to have a good evening. And Wally. So you've seen Wally before. He's the artist formerly known as Number 80. He used to come on the streams a lot. Have you considered getting into any traditional avenues of passive income? You mean like stocks? No, I think I might actually rather go into precious metals. So that's a good question though, Ryu, and I do think about it. I think about it. I'm just not a good risk. I don't take good risks in terms of investments. I'm just not I'm not good at pulling the trigger on those. Rapper 10,000. It's okay. We can keep doing some of this chat. So real estate. I don't think I'm going to do real estate, man. I think if I was going to invest in anything, I would try to invest into. I don't have enough money to invest into rental properties. I could probably rent out some space in my house, but I'm not at that place yet. My uncle is. I could probably help. I could probably get into industry through him. My dad does it, but I'm not a big handyman around the house. In fact, it took me weeks and weeks just to go clean my house yesterday. Yesterday, I finally did it. So I'm kind of more into computers and writing and things like that, which is it's a bad place to be. It's a bad place to be. But I think I could go into a trade or something. But you're right that you do need to go into some other income streams. That would be a good way to make money, because YouTube and writing and things like that. I've talked to somebody who wants to give me some money for writing, but it's not going to be enough anyway. You don't need a lot of money to get into it. Yeah, I know there's financing options. The fact is, I'll tell you something. My mom actually went underwater. She lost basically almost everything she had through bad real estate investments. So it might be just because I'm not I'm kind of insecure about that. The rapper asked, "What movie did you see recently? I need to see Aquaman." I actually was watching Venom on a tablet yesterday, and I really liked it. And it might be just because that's one of my favorite comic book characters, but I thought it was an amazing movie. I guess I'll give a brief reason why. Venom, I think, really showed kind of what happens when you get dominated by kind of an addiction and a psychological dependency. It's really one of the most it could have been better. I'd seen a review of it before, and the guy was not very enthusiastic about it. But it might be just because I love the character. I think Tom Hardy's a great actor, and I think Venom should definitely have a sequel. I don't know if it will because, to my knowledge, it didn't do exceptionally well. But I think it was one of my favorite movies, although I don't see that many anymore. But yeah, Aquaman, I think I might go see. Yeah, Shiska, you're right. I should probably look for something. I'm actually, for the first time in the past year, I think I'm agreeing with Ryu. Make money work for you, don't work for the money. So on that note, on what Ryu just said, for the new year, make money work for you, don't work for the money. And that's about it. Please have a happy new year. Please like this video. Tune in at 10 p.m. tonight for Ad Hominem Thunderdome, which I'll make a link later. I'll post to my next video. And tomorrow night on Hard News Network, I'm going to be discussing the problems with this anti-BDS legislation. So that's going to be on the Hard News Network. There's no link for that yet, but most of you guys know that. Most of you guys know what the Hard News Network is. A Hard Bastard on YouTube. So other than that, enjoy, and Happy New Year.